Good morning. Welcome to our virtual coffee and cake. As you can see, Hugh isn't here today because on the first Monday of every month we do try and give him a break. Back in November, Owen spoke on the subject of Thanksgiving, an American tradition that we learned was always on the fourth Thursday of the month of November. In December, Dom spoke about Advent and looked forward to Christmas. In January, Jenny spoke about the coming year and the hopes and aspirations that we may all have. So what about a theme for February? Not the easiest month to find a theme for, but it is the month where we have Valentine's Day. So I thought I would reflect on that. And in researching Valentine's Day, I did find it quite interesting. I'm not a big fan of the day, probably because I never got any Valentine's Day card as a kid. All my friends seemed to get them, but I did later discover that their mothers had sent out an awful lot with disguised handwriting. In reality, Valentine himself was not a romantic lover. He was a Roman clergyman in the 3rd century, probably a bishop. He was renowned for good Christian works, and it wasn't until the Middle Ages that he became the patron saint of courtly love. His works as a Christian became renowned so much so that the authorities didn't like it, and he was actually martyred. He died on February the 14th. He's buried in North Rome, near the Ponte Milvio. His cemetery is still there, but his remains have actually been separated and disposed of to various places. Why is he the patron saint of love? It's probably because of a poem written by Geoffrey Chaucer in the Middle Ages. Chaucer was renowned for taking liberties with history and attributed the day to St. Valentine. He's also the patron saint of epilepsy and of beekeeping, believe it or not. Less well known, of course, is the patron saint, or probably more technically the matron saint of love for Wales, St. Dwynwen, sometimes known as St. Donwen. Should be Santa, of course, in Welsh for the female, Santa Dwynwen. She was born in the 5th century, a princess, and I'll have to read the name of her father. He was King Brychan Brycheiniog. She wanted to marry a North Walian. It didn't go down well with her father. Legend has it that Mylon was turned into a block of ice, although in reality it probably is true that her father imprisoned him. However, legend has it that she was granted 3 wishes by an angel of the Lord, and she prayed A, that Mylon would be released, B, that God would look after true lovers everywhere, and C, that she could remain happily unmarried for the rest of her life. For her part, she became a hermit in North Wales. Her day is celebrated on the 25th of January each year, sometimes known as Welsh Valentine's Day. Nobody seems to know why the date itself is significant. In fact, it wasn't until the mid-1960s that St. Dwynwen was actually recognised to any extent in Wales, when a combination of a student's work at Aberystwyth University and Gwynedd County Council put together some promotional material to celebrate the day. Its popularity has grown since and continues to do so. I was going to conclude with a few quotes about love, but one of my favourites is this: love should always be a verb and not a noun. Love should always be a verb and not a noun. Certainly, if you read 1 Corinthians 13 again, a passage that we all know well, we hear it at weddings, we hear it read in church, it does remind us of the true virtues of real love. If you haven't read it for a while, why not look it up and just read through it? Well, Hugh will be back next week. In the meantime, I hope you have a great week, and why not phone a friend now? give them a little encouragement for the week ahead.